Hi there, everyone. Roger, Universal Accounting Center President with Michelle Arsenault. She is the coach for Value Builder, helping all of our students implement these processes, procedures with clients, and actually helping them use this in their business to obviously offer a new service and get paid what they're worth. So, Michelle, let's just start with the obvious. In your own words, tell me, what is Value Builder?
Great, and happy to be here, Roger. Thanks for the invitation, and I'm excited to eventually talk to some of you guys that are watching this video. Yeah, great question. What is the Value Builder system? It's a statistically proven methodology for increasing the value of a company, and in the process, you're really preparing the business owner for their eventual exit, whenever that may be. It could be 2 years, 5 years, 25 years, etc. And the whole system gives you lots of tools that you can take advantage of. The top ones being the main four, which is pre-score, which is a questionnaire that deep dives into the personal readiness of the business owner, which is very important. I mean, your business could be ready, but what if you personally are not ready? The stress that causes can be immense. So it'll take you through a quick questionnaire to get the results on that. Next is the Value Builder score, which is more on the business side of things. So it'll give you a business valuation and your business exit readiness. Moving on to the value assessment, where you take the results from the questionnaire and you really deep dive into why they scored what they did and ways to improve, and really just that high level overview of kind of next steps. And then that'll lead you into the coaching engagement with the business owner. And that's where you're really going to dive in. And it's really the meat and potatoes of the system, where you're going to work with them over 12 months to really increase the value of that company. So expand upon those recommendations that you made through a series of exercises, and hopefully even work longer than a year. I mean, the system's designed to be recurring revenue for yourself. So
Exactly. Now, I'm wanting to go through all four of those and discuss them with you individually. So let's take a moment and just kind of break into these each and see kind of what they are and why they're valuable to a person offering Value Builder services. So starting with the pre-score, personally, I was quite pleased when this was announced as a new tool, a new resource for us, because in our division, Universal Business Builder, it allowed me to speak with business owners and talk to them on a personal level. So basically, we kind of remove them from the business and talk to them about their individual goals and their personal intentions with their companies as owners as to what's next. And as they brought up that they were wanting to exit someday, sell the business, or in some future date, see themselves doing something other than running the company, I was able to offer them something that assessed whether or not they were actually ready for that transition, and then give me a chance to talk to them about various elements of that preparedness. So one of the things that I really liked about the pre-score, it was a personal thing. It was about them as an owner that's very unique. And one of the things that I saw happening is the few people that I've been able to do the pre-score with, is it got them a chance to think about things they hadn't really even considered. And so they go through, do this questionnaire, it produces this nice summary. I'm able to have a conversation with them that's really quite unique. No, they've not had this conversation with anyone else, their spouses, any confidants, anyone that may be in their business. And so it opened up a conversation, a dialogue that they weren't having. And honestly, I don't think they've really even had with themselves. So what kind of thoughts or insights have you had working with the pre-score?
Yeah, and I mean, that's been the case all along with most of our advisor base utilizing pre-score. It's opened up that new conversation with business owners. I've even had some of my group coaching and consulting advisors that been working with business owners for 2 and 3 years say that even though they thought they knew the ins and outs of their group and the business and that readiness and all of that, when they decided to offer the pre-score questionnaire, they were amazed at the conversation that it led to. Because yes, everybody had the mindset of, my business got to be ready, I need X, Y, and Z covered and all the drivers, etc. But me personally, I've never really given that some thought, things like, and even from a knowledge standpoint, I mean, a lot of business owners don't realize that there's different styles of exiting. Most business owners think you're gonna you're going to list your business, you're going to have a buyer come along, they're going to buy your business, cut a check, you're going to walk away free and clear. Well, 90% of the time that is not the case. Usually it's like, maybe the business owner has to stick around for a little while longer. Maybe the business owner has to finance the new owner in the new business. There's all kinds of different scenarios that could come into play. And a lot of business owners don't even realize that that's a factor. They just think, oh, you just sell your business and that's that.
That's
So
right.
even from giving them some knowledge regarding their eventual exit is important, because the worst thing that could happen is to get to the point where they're listing their business, and then all these buyers are being brought to the table, and the owner's like, hey, no, what's this kind of exit? I've never heard of this before. So it prepares them in advance for what kind of exit they're willing to consider. So when they do get to that table, they're fully prepared. And then, of course, there's other things too, like, if they have a life outside of their business, are they going to take their employees into consideration? Are they going to tell their employees? Are they going to have their employees involved in the exiting process? Are they going to have contingency plans in place for those employees so the new buyer doesn't come along and just fire everybody? And then also something that they don't even really consider is the push and pull of why they're exiting their business. Is it a push event, which is, looming retirement, illness on their own part or a family member's part, or something really great and positive, like they want to get involved in a charitable organization or start a new exciting business or travel the world with their family or what have you. So it really gives them lots to think about. So when that exit does happen, it's not like ripping off a Band-Aid. It's an easy transition in.
That's right. And one of the things that was very helpful for me as I'm out networking and speaking with business owners to generate business clients offering this service is the pre-score afforded me an opportunity to have a conversation that I think that person wasn't expecting. The business owner in the networking, in the dialogue, it wasn't something that they were anticipating that we would actually have something like this to offer. And so it did perk the curiosity. It was something that caused them to obviously want to do the questionnaire and have this conversation so that we can meet one-on-one and discuss something they weren't discussing with anyone else. It definitely got my foot in the door in a few instances.
Yeah, it certainly sets you apart.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing is I think in referring our services, so we have a division of Universal Accounting Center called Universal Business Builder. And when people are referring it or myself, the pre-score was a nice thing to share with other individuals as to what service we offer. It gave them something unique to remember us by and then refer their business colleagues to us. So that's always been helpful. So let me ask now about the Value Builder score. This has been around for some time. I love this. It's caused so many great conversations and brought on so many great clients. So the Value Builder score, in so many words, you've introduced it, but how would you say best describes what the score represents?
It's really about the business preparedness. So evaluating the overall status of your business right now. From a monetary point of view, we do have an estimate of value that's built in if you want to utilize it with your clients at any point. But it also is their exit readiness too, because eventually, as scary as it is, everybody's going to exit their business at some point. And our whole mindset is you should be prepared for that exit at any stage of your business. So in the startup phase, in the growth phase, in the nearing your exit phase, because you never know what life's going to throw you. I mean, again, here we get back to those push and pull events that can happen. What if you're 5 years into your business and something horrible happens and you need to sell it quick? Well, wouldn't it be better to sell it and get top value at that time if you're ready? Or, do you want to be struggling and scrambling to trying to fix things to get it prepared enough to sell, to get what you possibly can out of it? So it's all about that readiness. And of course, by working on those 8 drivers, other things are going to fall into place too. You're going to have a business that runs much smoother. You're going to have more cash to be able to, reinvent it or distribute it into, growth of your business. Maybe you want more freedom as a business owner. A lot of business owners get into owning their own business because they want to work for themselves. They don't want to work for someone else telling them, when they have to go to work and when they, have to go home. So having that freedom back can be life-changing for a lot of business owners. So it's just going to help every aspect of your business life, working on these drivers.
Well said. Well said. There's two ways that I've actually brought it up when I'm meeting with people and discussing it with them, encouraging them as business owners to obviously get their value builder score. Is first and foremost is I help them understand that this is similar to doing an appraisal on a home. And it's literally going in and it's asking the questions about that asset, their company, that literally affect or determine the value of that business. Now, in their own minds, the business owner has this assumption as to what their company is worth. They've built it. They've put in that sweat equity. They've seen what the company is doing financially, but they oftentimes have a misunderstanding of what its worth is. And so this is a great way to come in and say, we've got 15 minutes where we can ask you some questions, and from that, do an assessment, get a score, and literally show you what are the strengths and weaknesses of your company. And that's my second thing that I stress. The business score is a great way of doing a business assessment, or like a personal assessment, like someone might do Myers-Briggs or DISC or color coding. What they're doing is now an assessment on their company, and it's going to show, here are the strengths, the weaknesses. These are the things that are bringing value to your company and organization. These are weaknesses or areas of opportunity that you can improve that would, if addressed, enhance the value of your company. And so I encourage them to get that score, and that score then gives them this, kind of a red, yellow, green, if you will, of where they sit as to what the potential of their company may be. Are they in the red where there's concerns? Are they in the yellow where things are all right? Are they in the green where things are optimal? And this causes a great conversation. So when I share this with someone, as a business owner, they're typically one of three things. They're first, either I've done personal assessments, I do them on myself, I've done them on my employees, I have them as part of my hiring. I would love to have an assessment on my company. That's wonderful. The second is one of the times, or some of the times that people are going, well, I'm just curious, what can you tell me about my company that I don't already know? What's some of the insights you can give me that might help me better understand my strengths and areas of opportunity that I may not be seeing because I'm in the thick of it? But the third is, I'd like to just talk about my company and get your perspective of what's going on, because I would like my company to be better. And if what you're telling me is true, I can do this 15-minute questionnaire and you can actually give me some insights about my business. That'd be great. And that's a great segue into introducing these 8 drivers, these 8 drivers that determine the value of the business, that the assessment's going to look at 8 specific things that are necessary in every company in order to value or evaluate its value or worth. And it's like an appraiser going into a home or a business and saying, here are the things that are expected. Do you at least have the obvious? Do you have running water? Do you have a central air? Do you have, let's say, electricity? I mean, it's the obvious. If somebody still had an outhouse and didn't have a garage, I mean, these things detract from the value of a home. Well, likewise, there's specific things that either enhance or detract from the value of the business. And so with that mindset, that gets them interested in taking 15 minutes out of their day to take and do that value builder score. So that's wonderful. And I'm going to stop right here, Michelle, because I want to do the assessment here in just a second. But before the segue, I want to share one insight that was powerful to me that I learned early on when offering the value builder services. And it's, if I have a potential business owner that may become a client of mine and they're unwilling to take 15 minutes of their time to figure out what their business is doing and how they could improve it, I'm a fool to think that they're going to pay me money and spend time with me working on their business. And so this value builder score is huge. Also the pre-score, if they're unwilling to take 15 minutes out of their day to get a new perspective on their business and learn something about their business, I really don't feel that they're going to be a great coaching candidate for me to work with, because I'm not asking them yet for any time. And obviously as a coach, I'm looking for a commitment of basically hours a week for a year to work on their business, and they're unwilling to give me 15 minutes of their time to fill out a questionnaire.
You're right.
Very telling as to whether or not they're going to be a good potential candidate. So this is a great screener as a sales process to figure out, are they actually going to be not only interested in working on their business, but working with me? And that's kind of that sales process to help them see me as an expert, to help them appreciate what we're discussing. But again, it screens them. If they can't take 15 minutes out of their time to look at their business in a unique way, they're not going to be a great client for me.
No, because even if they did, even if you were able to struggle and get them to eventually be your coaching client, you're probably going to struggle the whole way. And that's not enjoyable for you either.
Mm-hmm.
So you're exactly right. And it can also screen in other ways as well. I mean, maybe you have someone that has a very specific ideal client. Like maybe, you have someone that only want to work with business in a certain range, like say 2 million to 6 million in annual revenue. And they want to use this 15-minute questionnaire to weed out the ones that fall outside of that, and then have a process in place for dealing with those ones that fall outside of it. I know I have a couple advisors that do that. They have some kind of like a free book that they offer, and so they get the book and then they go on like I think it's a 4 or 5 email chain after that with some additional articles and things like that. So they still get help, but they don't get into the coaching with that particular advisor because they're very specific in the clients that they want to work with. And, she was saying that prior to us, she was spending minimum of 1 hour per business owner to determine if they were even worth her time. And now she can figure that out in 15 minutes.
Right.
She gets.
It's so well said. There is a screening that as a coach, you want to make sure you got the right ideal client to work with. And some people it is revenue, some it's size of business, some it's specifically where they are in approximation to actually exiting or selling the business. If they have zero intentions of exiting or selling it, may not be a perfect client for them. It just depends as a coach what your ideal client is. And this is a perfect way to screen them. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. And I mean, don't feel guilty about it either, because, they've only spent 15 minutes and they're still getting something. Like oftentimes they'll send along the report and, some lovely data and some article, maybe a book or something like that. So they're getting something of substance for that 15 minutes of free time. But then, the advisor feels good that they've been taken care of. And maybe even a referral partner is added to the equation as well. Like maybe there's someone they work very closely with that works outside of those parameters. So building those relationships as well. So, and that way you don't have to feel guilty that you're, not working specifically with that business owner.
That is exactly right. Well said. Okay, so let's talk about the assessment. So once a person has taken and done the questionnaire to receive their Value Builder score, there is actually a review or a summary sheet that can be produced that actually gauges each of the 8 drivers that I've mentioned. This summary sheet is great for a very top, high-level discussion, but admittedly, it doesn't say anything about the drivers. It doesn't say what's they're addressing, what they're about, how to resolve them. So that then gives us the opportunity to come in and offer them the assessment, which is a more detailed report explaining what the summary has identified. So tell us what you can about the Value Builder assessment.
Yeah, so there's actually 2 pieces that come along with that portion. There's the Value Builder Assessment PowerPoint presentation. So that is where every question of the questionnaire is reviewed. So it shows the question that was asked. It highlights the business owner answer that they put in the questionnaire. And then it also highlights the optimal answer. So where that business really needs to get to on that particular question. So it's very, very deep diving. And so the advisor knows what direction to go on. So even if it's maybe a driver that's not that particular advisor's forte, maybe it's financial performance and they've, not really driven into financial performance a lot. It's still going to give you enough information that you can direct that conversation and offer those recommendations. And you can, the report or the PowerPoint is editable, so you can add your notes and the action items and then save it at the end and then print it off for the business owner, or email it to them if you don't want to waste any paper. Save a tree.
Yes.
And then the second report that's available is the 27-page Value Builder report. And it's more of a general overview, so it doesn't deep dive as much as the assessment does, because the assessment PowerPoint is really for that specific business, whereas the report is more of a general overview of that industry in that country. So it does take into consideration what industry they're in, the country that they're in. They're being compared with over 45,000 other business owners that have gone through the questionnaire now and growing. So that report is not editable. It is as is, but it does highlight why they scored what they did, some general improvements that they can make to their business. So it's really up to the advisor themselves how they want to utilize those two pieces. I mean, if you want to spend 100% of your time on the PowerPoint and then just give the report as a takeaway item, you can. If you want to spend 100% of your time on the report and then just maybe add in, some recommendations. It's not editable in the report itself, but some will have like a separate piece of paper that they'll add on some adjustments to and that sort of thing. So it's really flexible in how you determine those, how you're going to go through that assessment with your business owner. Typically it takes, I would say you'd want at least to plan an hour, 2 hours if you really want to go through the entire assessment front to back.
Perfect. So I'm going to chime in here and I'm going to share with you some actual use that I've done with each of these two reports, give you some insights, and then I'd like you to follow up with any observations you've made as a coach to value builder providers and see, what more insights you may have. So let's talk about the PowerPoint presentation. What I've done is after an individual has taken the time to do the questionnaire and get their value builder score, is I've reached out and I've offered them to meet and actually do a 1 hour or 2 hour long meeting with them to review their score and give them insights and feedback. Now, I've done this meeting two ways. I've done it once I've done it times where it's free, and I'm going in where I'm just wanting 2 hours of that business owner's time to impress upon them what it is that we've learned about their business and what the next steps are. And the intent is at the end of the meeting, I'm intending to pitch them our services and close them with an engagement. So in this case, I may be going in free, just asking for their time. Other times I've sold them the report and I've said for a fee, I will come in for 2 hours and I will prepare this report for them, impressing upon them that I'm going to be doing some due diligence before the meeting to prepare and actually come with them with insights and suggestions. So I have both done this for free and done it where I've been paid to actually have this 2 hour long conversation. Now, in the PowerPoint presentation, what I love about it, and honestly, we can't show it. We're not showing it right now, but it's phenomenal to see because when you are in the Value Builder tool, the system, and you select to produce the PowerPoint presentation, it takes some time because it's creating very unique, specific slides that are particular to that client, and it's specifically showing what they selected, what the optimum answer would be. And what I do is I take this PowerPoint presentation, once it's been generated, I save it as that company, and then I actually have a deck of cards that I've created that I put at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, and I also have some that I input intermittently throughout the presentation that speak of us. It brands Universal Business Builder, and it prepares the person for the close that I'm going to have towards the end with the slides that I've added. And the nice part about this is as I do the PowerPoint presentation at the client's office with the client, or actually I've done it at my office where they've come to me, what we've done is I will escape out of the slide, and there are places where we're discussing, here's the question, here's what you chose, here's what needs to be done, and we'll actually stop there and discuss, so what needs to be done in your company? What should you do today? What plans do you have to address this? And we'll capture them, and I will put them into the slide and then go back to the presentation and continue on. The point is I'm capturing in this PowerPoint presentation all of the things that are being discussed throughout the meeting. And then at the end, obviously it's going to lead to my sales pitch. So that's how I use the PowerPoint presentation, and it works phenomenally. I look prepared for the meeting. I am actually now attending the meeting with purpose. I'm capturing their information. They feel like they're engaged in the discussion. They're not just seeing me present. There's a dialogue happening.
Right.
And then the nice thing is the report that you mentioned, you did state that it's not something we can edit. However, what I do is I print it before the meeting, and I take the time to highlight it and put it in a nice little sleeve, and I bring it to the meeting with the intent of delivering it saying, look, when the meeting's over, this is for you. And I've taken the time to highlight, notate, put some things in here that you may want to look at. And when I've done it for a paid meeting, they literally feel as if that's the report they've paid for. Not only the time that I've spent with them, the hour or two that we were together, but that report, they feel like it's been prepared specifically for them. They don't know that it's a cookie cutter. What they think is it's something that I literally took time to, prior to the meeting, prepare and present to them. And so they get value from that. Now, here's the last thing. The one thing that I have found that has given me the ability to most easily charge for this meeting is I offer, as part of that report, there is the ability to turn on or turn off the inclusion of the actual estimated value of the company, where there's a dollar range that dictates this is what your initial assessment of your company, the initial valuation of your business is. And if I've been paid, I'll include that number on the report and draw attention to this is what it is. And for selling my services, it's phenomenal because it says, in that illustration of value, it says, and if we address certain areas of your company that could be improved upon, this is the increase in value that we could manifest or see. And that's where I'm trying to say, look, my services are going to be $1,200 or $12,000, but we expect that we'll be able to, in the implementation of these things over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, increase the value of your business by tens, if not hundreds, if not millions of dollars. And that's what my value is to you, working with you as your coach. And so that's the use of the PowerPoint presentation. That's the use of the report you've mentioned. The two together as a value assessment provide me a phenomenal ability to have a meeting with the potential client and have them see me as the expert and want to engage with me. So that's how that's utilized.
No, that's fantastic. And I love how you made the point of sometimes you offer it for free and sometimes you do charge for it. That's another piece that's very flexible in that, any advisor can do that. I think what you need to think of primarily going into the assessment is, what is your ultimate goal? Is your ultimate goal to make money off of the assessment and, put some money in your pocket, some revenue for your own business? Or is it to get them into that engagement? Because if it's ultimately the engagement, maybe you are willing to only take an hour and do it for free, but you know that payoff at the end is going to be much larger. Or there's even other options. Maybe you're going to charge for the assessment, but give a discount on back in when you charge for the engagement, like already treat that as month one of their payment or something like that. So all kinds of flexibility that you can build into how you charge for the meetings with the clients.
Exactly. So let me just kind of address the pricing. This is what we do. And at the Value Builder Conference, I've had this conversation around the table with others as to how they do it. Honestly, I'm the least expensive as to what the others around the table are charging. So I'm going to start with that and tell you that I am not charging what I feel I could or should. But this is what I do. And I'd love your input when I'm finished as to what you've seen. The pre-score, I offer that for free. I basically just say this is something that I do. I give it to them, and whether or not I choose to meet with the client afterwards may or may not be the case. Sometimes I just let them take it and I give them the results and be done with it. The pre-score does allow me, though, to do a 1-hour meeting where I meet, learn about the business, talk to them, and it's just basically having them see me as an expert. And my intent with the pre-score would be to have them do the Value Builder score next.
Correct.
Now the Value Builder score, now the Value Builder score, when they do that, I again oftentimes offer the Value Builder score for free. I'll send it to them, they get it, and it's one and done. And my intent is to then oftentimes either schedule the Value Builder assessment meeting, the 1 or 2 hour meeting, and I'll either do that for free or I'll charge for it. But before I go any further, when I say for free, it has a value. I tell them it's a $500 meeting. And that
Great.
has a value. And so what I'm trying to do is impress upon them that meeting is of worth, but I've chosen to offer it to them for free because of maybe the networking organization that we're both a part of, or the person that referred us to one another. For some reason or another, I'm offering it to them for free. But in the case of charging, I have charged and been paid $500 and more for that hour-long meeting where I do the PowerPoint presentation, where I bring with me the report and present it to them, and they have paid for it. And typically, if they don't pay, if I do offer it for free, I won't do the valuation number. But if they have paid, I'll give them the valuation number. Now, I'll pause here because sometimes I've chosen not to actually get paid and I don't want to meet with the person. For some reason, like you were sharing earlier, they're not an ideal client. And in that instance, what I have done is I've had them take the score, I've sent them the summary report, and then I've also sent them the assessment report, not the PowerPoint presentation, but the assessment report with an email explaining, hey, I've looked this over. I've got this report for you that I've prepared. This is something that I'd be happy to discuss with you. If you'd like, look it over. And if you have any questions, let me know. And then I send it to them. And if they want, they'll reach out to me. Right now, they're not my ideal client. And so I'm not wanting to pursue them, but I'm not wanting to leave them in a lurch. So I want them to receive something of value. And so I send them the report and I let it be there, hoping that even though they may not be an ideal client, birds of a feather flock together. I believe they know other business owners and they're going to say, hey, Roger, he's got this great value builder score thing. He's got this report. I got mine. You need to go get yours. And maybe I'll run into my ideal clients where they're referring people to also get the assessment. And then with those, I'll say, yeah, I gave it to him for free. Normally it's $500, but because you referred you, I'll do it for $250. I don't know. But the point is open up these options. So that is wonderful. So is there anything more you'd like to add about the assessment?
Yeah, I think I'll touch back on the, where you were saying that you're charging a little bit less than everyone else. It is kind of the bare minimum that most, if they are going to charge for the assessment. I don't usually see, other than maybe once, I think someone tried $4.99 just to kind of, with that whole pricing, if they think it's less than it is. But for the most part, I think most advisors, if they're charging, are somewhere around $1,000 to $1,500, which is a sizable amount. But again, it's all up to you as an advisor to charge whatever you want and kind of lead them in the direction that you want. But yeah, you certainly, I love how you still associate the value with it and let them know that you're saying, yes, this is a $500 fee, but I am, because I like you, I'm giving this to you for free. Because I think, perceived value is really important when you are giving advice, because if they're like, oh, okay, the questionnaire is for free, the assessment's for free, do I want to sign up into this coaching thing? It just makes you seem quite not as knowledgeable and that. So I think having that perceived value is very important because they take it more seriously for sure. So, so I love how you let them know that, yes, they are getting it for free, but normally you would charge X amount of dollars.
That's right. Now, I will just add to what you just shared so that everyone listening will understand this. And it's that when I've done that round table at the conference and I've spoken with some of the other providers, I have found that people are charging as much as, $795, $997. $1,250, $1,500.
Yeah, I love the weird numbers.
Yeah, and the reason for that, and I think it's very valid, is you have to assume this is going to take 4 hours of your time. There's, 15 minutes to drive to the client, perhaps 15 minutes to drive back to your office. There's the time you're spending beforehand to print, review the document, highlight it, put it in the sleeve. There's the time to actually prepare the deck, where I've inserted some slides. I've put slides at the end for me to close it. So there's this preparatory time because I want to review their results before I meet with them because I have insights I want to bring to the conversation. So there's this, hour or so pre-meeting that I'm doing. There's the hour or two meeting that's happening. And then honestly, there's about an hour or so debrief after review, because once I met with the client, whether I got them as an actual client, I always follow up with an email summarizing the meeting. If they're a client, I'm setting up the next appointment and welcoming them on board. If they're not a client, I'm still drafting an email, summarizing the discussion, trying to set up, okay, so what's the next step? Even though we didn't do an engagement, what is the next step? So it's at least a 4-hour commitment. And so for me to offer it for free is a big offering. And so a $500 $500 offer, I mean, you're looking at just over $100 an hour. But if you're looking at, say, $1,000, you're getting well up into what the 250 range might be for those 4 hours that you're committing. So that's what we're talking about here. And if you have that context, I think you can properly decide what's right for you when offering for free. It's an ideal client, I'm going to charge. But I'm going to end with this as the transition to our last discussion about the engagement. And it's simply to say, the first step with the pre-score and the value builder score as my screening process is the business owner willing to take 15 minutes out of their time to look at working on their business? If they're not willing to spend 15 minutes to work on their business, that's a way of screening them out. My second screen is are they willing to spend an hour or two with me working on their business and or pay me for that time? Because if I'm going to ask for them to pay me, let's say, a $10,000, $15,000 engagement over the course of the next year, they better darn well be willing to spend $500 with me.
Right.
And so if my engagement is, I'm going to get you to sign an agreement to work with me for the next 12 months, pay me $1,000, $2,000 a month, you better darn well be able to pay $500 today or $1,000 today. And so not just is it now a time commitment of an hour or two, I want to see, are you willing to spend money on working on your business? And that's that next level commitment. So I do want them to spend money with me. I do want to see, are they willing to invest in the building of their business? That's important to me. And then that lets me know, as I prepare now to offer the engagement, what am I going to expect? And so that kind of is our segue, if you will, to the engagement. So tell us about the engagement.
Yeah, so the engagement is where you're really going to, like I said, get into the meat and potatoes of working with that client and coaching them over time. So you have access to 12 modules, and typically advisors are doing one module per month. So it takes you the whole year to go through it with the business owner. How you set up or the cadence of the time in which you meet with them is very flexible. You can choose if you want, to meet once a month, twice a month, 4 times a month. Typically, advisors are spending in total about 2 hours with the client throughout the month, whether it's once or, scheduled out weekly or however. And then, built into the platform itself, there's videos for the business owners to watch. There's exercises to go through. And here's also built in some flexibility as well. Like, you can work alongside of the business owners through these exercises. You might have some business owners that want to kind of do it more self-service and utilize you as their guidance and kind of their guru, if you will. So you have that flexibility in working with the client in the way that they want to be worked with. And also the flexibility in the order that they want to get to those modules. We've built it out, module 1 through 12 in a specific order. But, say, for example, module number 5 is recurring revenue. Say you have a business that's just struggling and just, they've never been able to incorporate recurring revenue into their business, and they don't want to wait 5 months to get to that module. They want to do that next step. So you have the ability to move that module to the space and the month that you want to utilize it with the business owner. So it feels more customized. They're more engaged because you're getting to either their challenges or maybe their easy earlier wins early on. So it feels, and you mentioned about the cookie cutter, system. It's not, it is, but it isn't. It's got some flexibility in that you can have it more customizable for them.
Yeah, no. So this engagement, I have to tell you, when I was first exposed to it, blew my mind. It was so exactly what I needed as a coach to feel as if I was offering something that was duplicatable, something that was consistent, that I can take from one client to the next client to the next client, rather than as a business coach feel as if each client was having individual experiences, unique experiences that weren't duplicatable. This was a process that was proven that I knew I could follow and expect certain results. And so I just love the engagement. The platform, as you're describing it, then was just this next added value. It was like I was a kid in a candy store, because as a tool, you're right, it gave a place for the business owner to log in and through their own portal see the whole experience. We were able to work together in there, and in doing so, capture action items, record things that we're doing, and document them as they're being done, checking them off, and capturing this in essence, a report that over the next 12 months, if we were ever wondering, what have we done this year? I can show them specifically the list of all the checked items that we've achieved in the last year. And they're like, my heavens, we've done so much. This is amazing. But I love how it's broken up modularly to address the 8 drivers that specifically determine the value of the business. And the way we've used it is when a business owner has scored high in an area, we still spend the time going through that module simply because we're looking at it from the approach of, you're doing it right, it's working well, let's document it. Why is it working well? Is it cultural? Is it processes and procedures? Let's capture it so that the value of the business is retained because it's documented and recorded, rather than you have a stellar employee, or perhaps just you yourself have brought this element to the company and have naturally incorporated into the business. Well, let's make sure that when the business is looked at, they're not seeing a key employee as being the reason for it being scored so high, or you as an individual. The person can be extracted, and the documentation is there to retain that as a strength. And then in the areas of improvement, those modules that scored low, those drivers that need to be improved upon, we're able to obviously now go through the exercises, come up with action items, implement things in the business to address them. And month after month, we're moving forward. And what I liked about what you just said about the flexibility that exists in the system, yes, you've got all 12 months mapped out as to modules of, this is what you're gonna do month 1, month 2, month 3. But the beauty of it is you can reorganize them and activate them in a way that the business owner can work on what's pressing. When they're paying you for this engagement, they very well may have specific things they want to address, and they don't want to hear, we're going to take care of it in 8 months. They want to hear,
how
take care of
frustrating
it
would that
next
be?
month. Yeah, so they're saying, but no, this is an issue now. Okay, great. Well, it's a big enough issue. We're going to take care of it now. And so, yes, reorganizing those has been powerful. But the next thing I'll add is, here at Universal Accounting and Universal Business Builder, our division, we have other core key elements of our coaching strategy that we've interwoven into the value builder process that complement each of the modules. We found, okay, this element that we love to do with our clients is best done in this driver. So we've interwoven it as to, when we get to that section, this is what we'll do and when we'll do it. Value Builder has afforded us the ability to confidently look at a business owner and tell them, we can take care of moving your business from where it is to that next level you want to be. We can be your coach and help you achieve this, because we have a tried and proven system that is meant to actually accomplish this. That's important. So I have the confidence because of this, with the training and being certified as a value builder provider, but I also have the competence. I have the system, the platform, the tools, the resources to achieve this. So this is powerful to me. So as the coach, Michelle, for so many of our graduates that are going through and becoming value builder providers as well, what coaching advice, what information would you add as to the power, the strength, or the benefits of the engagement?
Well, I think you touched upon it as well. It's not built in a silo. You can have other offerings, other services that you can build around the value builder system as well. We play nice with others. I have lots of advisors that do, like team skills building and sales and marketing training, really expanding upon, not just the business, but just taking it to that other level. And there's also no rule that says that you can't have help. Like maybe, you're getting close to talking more about exiting and things like that. And as an accountant, you're not a business broker. Maybe you want to bring in a business broker to one of the conversations that you're having. It's a great strategic partnership that you have. You want to utilize that partnership, introduce your business owner to them, have them deep dive into, kind of the extra things that they have to think about with regards to, listing and selling their business. So it doesn't have to be in a silo. You can add on what you want when you want. And then even as far as your fees that you charge, well, you can charge for the whole package. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a value builder fee. It can be for the whole thing. So as an accountant, you know, if you're already doing bookkeeping or auditing or taxation or what have you, you can, you know, you're probably already charging for those services. So you can add value builder into that. So then, you know, maybe instead of charging, you know, a couple $1,000s a month, you're charging $3,000 a month or what have you. So you have that flexibility, which is great. And you can have friends join you.
That is exactly right. So there's a few things that you mentioned that I'd like to just maybe complement with what we do here. The first thing is you talked about bringing in experts. You're right. We've had, I have a life coach that I've actually helped with some of our clients because they needed to address some life issues that were impacting the business itself. We've brought in some sales coaches that have helped with sales strategies, like with the recurring billing module. So bringing in some sales coaches. We've actually brought in business attorneys as well as brokers, because I'm not trying to be the jack of all trades to all these people. As their business coach, there may be times where these 8 drivers, I have a contact, an associate that I can bring in that's a better individual than me. And as a client, when they look and see that I'm not trying to be the jack of all trades, I think they value the fact that through this engagement, they're getting access to the experts, and that's huge. So I do want to team and leverage that. And that's actually afforded me the opportunity to get more clients, because these other coaches, they bring to me their people that they're working with. And so it's been a nice collaboration. The second thing is the engagement, just the essence of it, just so that everyone can understand how we've implemented it here with our clients at Universal Business Builder, is the month engagement. It's a 12-month contract. The 12-month engagement, I always say that it's a 12 to 18-month commitment. The engagement reads that it's a 12-month engagement that then extends monthly after that. Most of the clients that I've worked with have gone more than 12 months. I've had some that have gone over 2 years, and that's because they recircle through and their business has changed enough that they want to go through the process a second time. But the other thing that's also helpful here is understanding that vacations, sick time, holidays come up. And so the 12-month engagement does extend beyond the 12 months, because I've also found that even though there are certain modules that can be done easily in a month, some modules take longer than a month or two to implement with the client and address. And so what ideally is 12 months then turns into 14, 16, 18 months. And the client's more than happy to keep going because they haven't finished. They know that they like what they're experiencing and they're willing to obviously stay with it. The way we do this is we do weekly 1-hour meetings, and I do it at their business as well as at our office. I prefer doing it at our office only because I find that there's less interruptions. The client, my business owner client, is able to really remove themselves from the office and not feel as if they're in that same familiar environment. So I prefer having them come to me. It also shortens my time because I'm not commuting back and forth. But I have clients that I have done it at their office, and I've always asked that we always have a no interruptions policy during that period because I don't want them distracted. So those are things that I do there. The other thing is what do we charge? We charge $12.50 a month for the service. And if I have someone that I'm offering a discount to, such as maybe it's a referral from a friend or a good friend, or it's a networking person that I may be referring, I'm part of a group with them and I'm offering them a promotion, I'll do it for no less than $1,000 a month. So it's a minimum, a $12,000 commitment on their part to go through the coaching with us. That's the big thing. The other thing that our engagement does is we give them a 3-month out. A lot of times people are saying, well, can't I just do this as I want or whatever? No, it's a 12-month commitment, and the engagement reads specifically that. But we do have a clause in there that says if after 3 months you can give notification, and then we'll wrap up everything within the next month. So it's at least 4 payments that I'm going to get from this person contractually at a minimum. And I tell them that here's the reason why. The first 3 months, I don't want you wondering each week, each month, is this working? Should I cancel this? Is this of value? Should I cancel this? I'm not seeing results yet. Should I cancel this? I want that completely off the table. for the next 4 months, we're working together. Don't even worry about, is it working or isn't it? Because it's not even an option. It's going to be, we're going to be doing this. And the other thing I tell them is, don't expect things to happen immediately. That first month, as a coach, I'm trying to learn about your business because I want to understand more what you're doing here. And so there's a lot of exploratory things that we're doing as we're getting ready to implement, because I want to understand you, your business, what's going on, so I can properly advise and work with you. So there are initially some finding out things that we're trying to do. We're going to do a deep dive. I'm going to open things up. I want to learn about you, why you got in business, the company. I want to get to know the intimacies of what's going well, what's not. Before we start changing things, I need to understand what's happening here. And so that first month is typically more of an exploratory experience. Well, I don't need you month or week 3 saying, we haven't done anything. This isn't working out. Now, when I say haven't done anything, let me be clear. They have done exercises. We have given homework. They have done things, but they haven't begun to work on their business necessarily yet. So again, that 4-month period is very essential to me. So with all that in mind, that's the engagement. It works out well. I've had successes. You can see some of the reviews that I've shared of clients that have gone through our program. Some of them have been kind enough to stand in front of the camera and share their thoughts, which we've appreciated. But all in all, everything being told, Michelle, as their coach, working with them to help implement these things, one of the things that I really value is that you get the perspective of multiple coaches doing multiple things. You get to take best practices and help a person do this right and hold them accountable. You get to be their coach.
I know, it's so much fun. And I mean, why, you know, I always hear the term, you know, recreating the wheel. Why recreate the wheel? Like by doing your own kind of testing back and forth and seeing what works and what doesn't work, when you've got 900 advisors before you that have already worked out all the problems, all the kinks. I mean, there'll be some, you know, a little bit of flexibility there as well, because, you know, what works for one person might need to be tweaked for somebody else. But for the most part, you know, a tweak here and there is a lot less time than building out your entire process. You know, like that's what we're here to help you with, to you know, do the sales and marketing part, to teach you on those best practices, to brainstorm with you too. Like, I might not be a marketing guru, but I have opinions on websites and campaigns and email campaigns and social media and all of that. You know, like I'm here to, you know, to bounce ideas off of as well, or even role play. I just did a role play like 3 weeks ago with a newer advisor who was sitting down to do his first assessment, and he's like, can I just, you know, can we pretend that you're a business owner and I can run through my questions so I feel comfortable and all of that. And we had a fantastic time. Like, I enjoyed myself. And he got a lot out of it because, you know, he kind of got through those butterflies of having the first meeting with the business owner. And he wrote me, you know, after his meeting, he's like, yeah, it went great. You know, like there wasn't anything that popped up that I couldn't handle. And, you know, I think the role play really helped. So, you know, I'm really here to make you the most successful in what you do. Cause, you know, we don't want someone subscribing to the service if it's not going to be of value to you. You know, we're not all about the money. We're all about the community. And so, you know, that's why we're always, you know, we have our monthly advisor roundtables to share best practices. There's phone calls with me. We have our yearly conference that we do now, and we have one coming up in 2020 in February 6th and 7th in Denver. And that's a great way and you're going to be there, Roger, so that's great. You know, it's a great way for you to network with all your fellow advisors. There's lots and lots of learning. It's 2 days packed full of learning, and not just value builder specific. It's basically on how to make your practice the most profitable and best running, and how to really take care of your business owners. Because, you know, ultimately our company owner and president, John Warlow, his goal is to help business owners. And this was his way of doing that through you guys.
Well, this is just wonderful. You know, you as a coach, I think is a phenomenal addition, because doing this alone can be somewhat intimidating, but having someone like you in the back that they can kind of reach out to and work with, that is phenomenal. So I thank you for the support you provide to all of our graduates that are going through the program to implement this and add it as a service to their firm. The one thing that I just want to end on, just because I was realizing as I was sharing our best practices, earlier I was talking about this roundtable at the last conference where I heard what other value builder providers are doing with their clients. I shared that what we do is, for round numbers, $1,000 or $1,250 a month for 4 sessions a month over a 12-month period. What astounded me is, again, I was the least of all the people there at the table. Most of the advisors were charging much more. They were charging $2,000, $3,000, and many of them were doing a single meeting a month for that $2,000 or $3,000 session. So it was quite interesting to see how diverse each of us were. At the table, I was meeting with the clients the most. And at the table, I was one of the least being compensated for our coaching services. And mine was $1,000 a month. So gave me pause, and it helped me realize that there's a lot more potential there. Fewer meetings, definitely, and at the same time, charging more. So just real quickly on a pricing point, any observations that you've noticed as to how they've implemented the engagement?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's still very flexible. You can charge whatever you want. We typically see there's a broader range, usually between $1,000 and $3,000 a month, with at least, like you said, at least one meeting per month, sometimes two. And typically, when I've noticed in conversation with advisors on how they kind of decide on their pricing is a few things. So they're looking at the overall size of the business that they're working with, like, what kind of annual range are they in, 1 million to 5 million, 6 million to 10 million, 10 million up, etc. So obviously the higher that incremental value, or the higher the value, the expectation is higher from the business owner. So you might be a little bit more at their beck and call, if you will, and they might need a little bit more hand holding. So you want to factor that in. How the business is structured. Is it just the business owner that you're working with, or do they want their C-suite level or VP level of employees coming on board and sitting down in those conversations? Because that leads to more complicated conversations. It could lead to difference of opinions and that sort of thing. Because, the larger the business, the more apt that the business owner doesn't know all of the ins and outs of the day-to-day of sales and marketing and, the financial department and things like that. So you really have to look at that, like the size of the businesses, the complicated meetings that you're going to have, the time that you have to invest into it. And one thing I did want to point out that we didn't mention throughout the session is that it can all be done virtually if you want. I know you prefer to travel and meet face-to-face, and I think a lot of advisors do like that face-to-face connection with business owners, but a lot of the advisors do have the odd client, or even have a couple advisors that do 100% virtual connections with their business owners. So that it is flexible enough that because it's an online program, you can do it virtually. But yeah, so those are some of the things that you'll want to take into consideration. And then at the end of the day, what the business is going to be able to afford. I mean, if you're working with a small business and charging them $3,000 a month, and they're like $1 million business, chances are they're going to poo-poo that idea. That's going to be too much for them. And you're right too, as far as like how long you're going to work with them. Typically, the average is 2 to 3 years. Like, there's very few that go and do coaching for a year and then drop off. A lot of them continue on. We still have people, like the Value Builder Engagement has been around for about 4.5 years now, and are now entering their 5th year of coaching. So they've been there the entire time. Because even from a maintenance perspective, even though you might not need to do every module anymore, from a maintenance perspective, there's still goals that you want to set and attain, and exercises that you want to do, etc. So it was specifically designed to create that recurring revenue for our advisors, because you want to build value in your own practice. And recurring revenue is the way to do it.
That's right. And you're right. The nice part about the interface is, for some business owners, it becomes this great place for them to capture all these actionable items and organize their business with what tasks they're going to be doing within the company. And so some of them do appreciate that interface and just want to have retained access to it. And so they're willing to pay for that. Just as a point of clarification, your point about revenue pricing is very spot on. Many of the people I'm familiar with that do price their services do it not just on a dollar amount, meaning this is how much it is for my service. They literally assess what the revenue range of the potential client is and price accordingly. So well done pointing that out. That is very true. The other thing that I'd like to mention is, in our case, I've oversimplified it by just simply saying it's $1,250 or $1,000 a month. If we have an individual that has a co-owner, we will charge them an additional $1,250 or $1,000 to coach the two. So it's per person. The second thing is sometimes we've had spouses, and where the spouse may be involved in participating in some of the meetings, we've done a half off the second person. So $1,250 or $1,000 for the owner, and then half for the spouse. So if it's a co-owner or multiple owners, it's the same amount per person. So $1,250, $1,250, $1,250, or $1,000 per person. And the reason for that is we'll do group meetings where everyone's involved, and then we'll do one-off meetings where I meet with them individually. The second thing is we do find instances where they do have a management team, and so I have a fee to charge that I charge to work with the management level. So there's the coaching I'm doing with the owner, and then there's the management. And the reason why this is different is because oftentimes each month I'm introducing to the business owner a concept based on the driver that they're needing to understand and learn and basically decide how they're going to implement it in the business. But sometimes in a larger organization, they're not the ones that will actually be implementing it. They're the owner. They're deciding where the company's going, but they may not be the ones pulling the trigger and really doing the grunt work with this. And so there's generally a management level. Well, to take and ask the business owner who just learned this concept and have them go to the management meeting and educate the manager on this new thing the company is going to be doing that they just learned about themselves recently is somewhat taxing. Because yes, they embrace the idea. Yes, they want to implement it. Yes, they see that it needs to be done, but they just learned about it last week. So what we do is there is an additional fee for us to work with the management. And in that case, we go in and work with the management. And after getting the buy-in of the owner, we then reteach it to the management. We tell them with the owner there, they're in the meeting. We tell them, here's what's going to happen next. They get the action items. They're the ones with the to-do list, and they're held accountable for the implementation of everything. So it's basically, I'm not telling the business owner a new concept, getting their buy-in, here's what we're going to do, and then say, okay, go tell your management about this thing you learned a week ago. I'm involved in that.
Lost in the translation.
So at that point, it's the old telephone story, right? So at that point, we are getting paid for us to work with the management. And then lastly, I want to mention is a last service we provide is a retreat, where we do a 2-day retreat. The business pays us to facilitate it. Management and the owner are brought in. We facilitate a 2-day retreat, and the intent is to do that quarterly. Well, that's an additional fee above and beyond the one-on-one coaching we're doing. So to imply that it was simplistically just the $1,250 or $1,000 one and done,
there's more.
There's a lot more to it, and it's been thought out, and it's well organized, and it just basically is on a case-by-case as-needed basis. But your point of whether or not that $1,000 is fair, or should it be $2,000 or $3,000? Yeah, a lot of that's dictated by the size of the business and the magnitude of the issues that you're going to be addressing with the owner. So well said. This discussion about the Value Builder process, where we covered these 4 main tools, has been, I think, very good. It's deep, it's thorough. We address them in a lot of detail. Just to recap, it's the pre-score, which is a personal assessment of the owner and their mental state, if you will, to sell a business and whether or not they're ready. There's the Value Builder score, assessing the company. There's the summary report that is provided from that. There's the PowerPoint presentation that's presented, as well as the Value Builder assessment report. And then lastly, all that's meant to lead to this engagement, the experience of actually working with a client over a period of time. So all of those things are obviously there to help us take Value Builder to this point of helping us now bring an additional service to the clients we're working with and be that Value Builder provider. So Michelle, are there any final words you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, just those are the 4 main pieces, but I mean, I could probably talk for another hour of all the extra things that you get within the platform itself, like the sales tools that are available there to help you to sell your services or sell the engagements, if you will, like scenario tool. It comes with a full marketing package to help you market your service. So you've got articles and brochures and presentations that you can present in front of your clients to get them on board and get them interested in clicking those links to the questionnaire and that sort of thing. So there's so much more than just the four pieces. It is a complete system. And then you get to join our lovely community too, because you've got 900 advisors that are already on board with us, and we're on social media. We have social media groups. We have monthly meetings. We have our summit every year. And that community is so fantastic. I can't, kind of pat them on the back enough, because they're so helpful to everyone. Like, they don't see anyone as competition, or because you're an accountant, I can't talk to financial planner, or they're very communicative and helpful to one another. And even we've seen business owners being directed towards folks within our own community, because they need someone that maybe you do have an accountant that needs a broker to come on board and help the business owner, and they don't have a strategic partner. Well, you can connect with folks in the community. So you're joining a lot more than just a 4-piece process. It's going to take care of you.
Perfect. I can't say it better than that. You've got a community, you've got the additional resources, you've got the coaching. All these things are above and beyond what we've been discussing about the process. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about those on a later date. But Michelle, thank you so much for being a part of this. I love the support you offer all of our value builder providers that we're obviously sending your way. And with that in mind, just understand this. If it's about accounting, if it's about business, it is universal. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, guys.